Good evening. Welcome to the CRA Board meeting of November 12th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order, and we'll begin tonight's meeting with an invocation by Board Member Woodrow Hay and a Pledge of Allegiance of flag led by Vice Mayor Casello. If you please rise.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we are grateful for another day. We ask that you grant wisdom to our leaders this evening. Bless the CRA Board in a special way. Continue, Father, to hold each of us in the hollow of your mighty hand. Grant us peace and harmony as we tackle the challenges of our great city of Boynton Beach. We are grateful this Thanksgiving for your grace and for your mercy. We are grateful for each new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for help and food, for love and friends, for everything thy goodness sends. We ask it all in our Savior's name. Let all God's people say, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go with legal. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay, we'll go to agenda approval. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the
You missed
agenda?
roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have roll call, please.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
agenda?
Second.
The motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. I'll start with Mr. Buchanan.
No disclosures.
Gray?
Thank you, Chair. No disclosure nor conflicts. Thank you. In there.
Board Member Merker?
Simply and to the point, I was very proud to be at the Veterans Day ceremony. It was very distinguished. It was done with a love and a heart from the people who put forth, and fortunately, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. That's all.
Board Member Casello?
Yes, same with the Veterans ceremony. What impressed me the most was the participation of our Boy Scout troops down here, getting those young men and women involved to realize what the sacrifices that the men and women before them have made, so we were able to do what we do. So that was real nice. Also, I'd like just to make a shout out. I believe it's this coming Saturday. It's called Harvest Fest. It's going to be held down at the Intercoastal. It's put on by I think the CRA's part of that.
No, it's the chamber only.
Chamber only. Okay, I thought I misread that then. The Chamber of Commerce is putting it on down there. I know last year was the first year. My wife and I worked it, in fact. It was a cold, rainy day, and attendance was a little bit low, so hopefully we'll have Pirate Fest-type weather, and it'll be a success. Also, for future agenda item, I would like to bring up the property of a Casa Costa. Casa Costa. Tongue twister there. And in regards to the BTRs, I believe they have like 90 units in that building there that are designated as hotel-type suites. Is that the correct term for that?
I'm going to defer, I'm going to put that with Nancy at the city level, because that's a city, BTRs are city
Right.
issue.
Okay.
I know that they are working with them on that. I
Okay.
think we discussed that a little bit today. So, yeah.
Okay, just for the record, I also have been talking with the city on this, and to my knowledge, for the last 5 years, they haven't been paying that. So that's kind of upsetting and disturbing in a sense. The other thing I'd like to talk about, or get some more information, you and I have talked about this, Vivian, is that the storefronts there, we're giving them I think it's $485,000 a year for the last 5 years. And one of the stipulations was to put those storefronts up for below market value.
value.
And to my knowledge, since I've been here in Boynton Beach, I haven't seen one rented. I'm sure they've been come and gone, some of them, but there's way too many empty. And I'd like to have some documentation to tell me exactly what they're doing to earn that $485,000 a year, that taxpayers' money. So I'd like to have that. I want some documentation and what they're actually going through, not just word of mouth, but actually what kind of effort did they put into that to get those rented. I appreciate that.
We can
That
have
on
them
the
at,
next-
we can have
next
their,
CRA agenda.
Thank you.
somebody at the next meeting if you want, or when I
Yeah.
could get somebody
Next
here.
meeting, please.
Thank you.
Board Member Fitzpatrick?
No disclosures, haven't met with anybody, and the rest of the comments are the same as the city commission meeting.
Board Member Hay?
No disclosures. Same thing with the Pirate Fest and the Veterans Day, but just one additional one is,
What's wrong with these microphones?
some have asked me why I look so scraggly, and that's because of, in recognition of prostate cancer, the American Cancer Society has asked those who will, the men, not to shave, to bring attention and recognition to prostate cancer for men. And I can say it's been a conversation piece with me because it's somewhat out of character for me to look like this, but it's an opportunity to talk about, especially among African American men. There's a tendency not to get themselves tested, and I've been very fortunate to talk to many in that area to go and get themselves tested for prostate cancer. Thank you.
So just for the record, it is not because of the playing Santa Claus down at St. John's Baptist this year?
No, I got to put on a little more weight for
Okay.
that next year.
A couple more of those buffet lines, you'll be okay.
Thank you.
Staff, did you have anything?
Yes, I just want to let you know that I've met with Mr. David Camalier, and I'm meeting with him. I met with him 2 weeks ago, and I'm meeting with him and his attorney tomorrow to discuss development in downtown.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say one more thing that I should have said and forgot to say. Our mayor, Mayor Taylor, spoke beautifully at the Veterans Day. It reached the people's hearts, and what he said came from his heart, and I just want to comment on that. He spoke that well.
Thank you. I have no disclosures, so we'll move on.
Mr. Mayor, before we
Yes.
move on, there is one individual that should have informational announcements and item. Board Member Hay, I don't know why he's not tooting his own horn tonight, but he needs to. He went to the chaplain's training, and he needs to let us know about it.
You're probably saving it for the city commission.
Well,
But
yes
go
and
ahead
no.
if you
But
want.
I
We
would like to
need
comment
right
just a little bit, 30 seconds. It was outstanding workshop. Really a life-changing situation for me. I learned what I thought a chaplain was totally the opposite. They taught us what to say, what not to say. For example, when we go for death notification, hospitals, and all those kinds of things. So to make a long story short, I am now a certified chaplain for Boynton Police Department.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. We'll do it again at commission meeting, but tonight we need to know.
Okay. We'll go to announcements and awards. First one's recap of the third annual Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash.
Good evening, Board. Amy Zimmerman with the Boynton Beach CRA and Special Events. We did it. We had a great event. Thank you. I want to first thank all the partnership with the city. It was an amazing supportive team, all the way from Eleanor in the city manager's office through Public Works, everyone. Everyone just came together and made it happen, and I was really proud to be a part of it and eternally grateful that you entrusted this to me. I'm going to make it bigger next year, too. We've got great accolades across the board on social media, email, vendors, entertainers, everyone. And we reported double sales and concessions, so that, along with some other measures, we've estimated the attendance to be at about 15,000 people over the 2 days. We got some great feedback as well to make it even better and more cohesive, just bringing it even more next year. So I plan on doing that, and I'm very grateful all of you went as well. It was nice to see faces. I know I was probably rushing by you and barely saying hi, but I was on a mission most of the time. A lot of the things, as with any event, behind the scenes, what could go wrong went wrong, but I looked across the crowd throughout the day, and everyone was smiling and having a great time, and we couldn't have asked for 2 more beautiful days, which I stressed about a week out, but it's Florida, so. But we did do a survey this year, which has offered a lot of really useful information for us going forward, measuring economic impact, and it'll help us secure sponsorships in the years to come as well. And that's included in your packet. It's after the pictures. If you want to take a closer look at it, there's a lot of great info, very interesting as well. Couple things to note. I think somewhere I saw that there are 74% or somewhere in that range it was their first time they came to this event. So we reached a demographic that we set out to reach, and they showed up, and some people both days. And we actually hit Broward, Loxahatchee. I think there's a lot of really far-reaching areas that we got to this time as well. And on the survey too, we did a breakdown of. I just noted it in the agenda item as one of the things to note, but it gives a measure of the economic impact. And on this line, it was the results on site showed 73% of the attendees plan to visit local businesses, that being restaurants, bar, retail, etc., before or after the event. And 36% of those plan to spend between $31 and $50 at those businesses. So that alone in that bracket gives $167,400 to $270,000 worth of an economic impact just from that alone. So we also were thrown a little curveball that turned out to be a great thing in the end. We ended up having to secure our own beer distributor this year, and we chose a charity to be the recipient of the proceeds of that, which was the Schoolhouse Children's Museum, and we ended up being able to write a check for over $4,000 to them.
Fantastic.
Very good.
Great.
Excellent.
So, and a lot of the businesses
Good
that
job.
participated last year on the business development side of it on the East End reported their sales were doubled from last year. Even Two Georges reported that their sales in the restaurant, which was off the beaten path, was up 25% from last year. And we didn't even take the event that far this year, so. Definitely open to any feedback any of you may have. One of the things I'm considering is actually I'd like to see it be from one start time to one end time, both days, from one street to the other street. That was a lot of the feedback I did get across the board. So, and I think we're going to be big enough to really carry that next year as well. I think we're going to have the turnout in vendors, the turnout in guests and entertainment. I think we're going to have our pick, and actually sponsorship as well.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
Yes, you may.
Amy Zimmerman, you know I'm not meant, and I don't normally articulate compliments, and I sort of did it last time at the last city commission meeting, and you weren't there. So I was deciding whether or not I should do it again. Well, I had a good time too, and all I can say, and I'm repeating, this woman, this lady, worked it 24/7. It was amazing to me, the effort she put into it. She deserves all the kudos in the world, applause for what she did, and we all
Had a very
thank
good
you.
support team, but thank you.
So now I take back my
A
compliment.
little bit. I'll take most of it. Thank you.
Movies in the park?
If I can just make a suggestion on you driving that golf cart, maybe just a little
You were
better.
going to say that? He watched me ram right into a tent pole.
Well,
All right, in my defense, we had much larger gators this year than we did last year, so
no police report was needed.
thank you.
Job well done.
Excellent job.
Thank you again.
Excellent.
Item B.
I have just one,
Oh, do you want to say something?
yes, job well done.
Thank you.
Does anybody go to the Tampa thing, the Steel Ideas?
Steelite, are you talking to, the gas
Gasparilla?
grill? I actually used to live on Bayshore in Tampa. It's a different event. There are some things that cross over. That one's been many years.
I understand.
In the
but
making.
So I'm saying they might have some
I
ideas.
will tell you, I think I've gone to 3 different pirate events in Florida leading up to this. Ours was the best by far. And actually, not even in my biased opinion, a lot of the entertainment said that as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, and a lot of the entertainment. I did bring new acts this year, and I tried to balance things so that there was something going on all the way up and down Ocean. So I had to fill in some gaps. So there were some new acts, but a lot of them were returning acts, and they were hugging me when they left. They can't wait for next year. So and all of them were using their social media to get the word out as well. So
Nice.
yeah, and I'd love to see this be a Florida event, not just a Boynton event, and draw even farther. And that's my goal. So.
How are those acts paid? Or
We budgeted for this at our budget meeting, and out of that, I budgeted for the acts, I budgeted for services and so on. So it all came out. I knew what I had to work with as far as entertainment, and that was one of the things I wanted to put a little more volume in.
and the bands and singers, they were all pretty upbeat, and
Oh yeah,
they were great.
Yeah, I like the way this year, having the East End, we had more conventional kind of rock band and rock music, not just thematic like we did on the amphitheater. We had all thematic bands where it was of, Renaissance pirates kind of flair, but it lended itself to that environment. And then anyone that wanted to maybe listen to rock and roll could go down to the East End. So I think doing that stretch next year on both days, they'll offer that much more to everybody. There'll be something for everybody. And I did get a lot of feedback, too, because I think a lot of the pirate events or Ren Fests aren't as kid-friendly, and we have such a family demographic here, and I've gotten nothing but compliments from the parents that this was just a really great family-friendly event. I was a little worried with wenches, and I kind of had to make sure the people...
What?
The wenches, the way people, some of them dress for this. And I purposely asked some people to, at least the ones I was in communication with that were entertainers, to kind of check it back a little bit, because it is a family event. But I'm also thinking maybe doing a Friday night Pirates Ball the night before for the adults, and having the more adult theme so they can get that out of their system then and keep it family friendly Saturday and Sunday.
Amy, just for the record, that piece of the guy that walked the wheel there, I thought, this is true story, I thought that was a piece of kinetic art. And when I saw him on that, I scolded him. I went over there. I said, "What the heck are you doing? Get off that." Because the way he was dressed. And he looked at me strange. And he goes, "I'm part of the act." I said, "You can't get on our art." And we went back and forth for a little bit until I was straightened up. So I was totally embarrassed by that. But
Well, I got to know him very well. I can picture the look he gave you.
yeah, immediately, exactly. And I really thought it was a piece of the kinetic art.
He actually handmade that over, I think, a year or two time. And then he drove from Maryland for the event. And then our Captain Jack, that got accolade after accolade, I watched him just work the crowd continuously. He drives from Pennsylvania every year for this.
It's a great time. Great.
Okay.
And it's his favorite festival, he said. So.
Moving along, anything about movies in the park you want to
Yeah,
say?
we actually had our second largest turnout. We just did Maleficent in the park. You didn't go. Did you go? You waved.
That's a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, we had again probably about 200 people at this one.
200.
We did have an issue with glare on the screen. I had to move the screen a couple times because now the alley lights are working, but weather was perfect otherwise. We had a food vendor out there, Kona snow ice and so on. It was a nice evening. So
Okay.
we may even be outgrowing that park. I'm kind of watching it. We may have to move it back to the amphitheater because we're outgrowing it.
Okay.
We do have a concert coming up on the 20th. It's going to be at the amphitheater. We're going to be featuring Quarter Life. Is it the lead singer, you said, is a opera singer? They do like rock and roll or pop rock, but the lead singer is an opera singer, and they're very good. They're a good local band that has a good following. So that's next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. And we will have Maui Wowie and Kettle Corn. They're present, our local businesses. And that's it.
I will just
the holiday.
just real briefly, but there's a local businessman here that has a band that is volunteered to, when you want, if he'd bring his band and play the first time for free.
Oh.
And he said if you ever hear him the first time, you'll want to hire him. So
Do you have that info?
I'll give you his card.
Okay,
sometime.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Just real quick, too, I want to touch on the, I didn't bring the larger board, but our holiday tree lighting and concerts just around the corner, and I wanted you all to be aware of the change we did this year. It's going to be on that agenda item, the second page. There's a picture of the placement of the tree. We are going to be putting it in front of the Schoolhouse Museum, and we've you can't really tell in this picture, but we've actually put white lights on the trees that surround the museum and on all the structures, all the bordering of all the structures, and then we lit up the sign. And they've already set some of those lights. The tree's also going to be 4 feet higher. It's going to be on a 4-foot riser that looks like a drum. And that also frees up my lawn so I can use the amphitheater as the concert stage. So we have a nice flow of that event as well. I'll share with you at the next
What's the date?
December 5th.
5th?
Yes. And if you recall, we separated the tree lighting and concert from our street parade. The city's overseeing the street parade this year. That's on Saturday. And then we'll be doing the concert tree lighting on Friday night. And we have Wonderama, which was one of the bands we'd had booked for our concert one night. And we had a great response to them across the board, different types of people. So I brought them back because I think they're a good fit for that. And we'll have a local schools choir there before that. So we'll have the tree lighting and then the choir, the tree lighting, and then the concert. So we'll have vendors, food, beverages. Santa's going to have his own Wonderland stage. And
Okay, thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Takes the consent agenda. Nobody pulled anything, so we'll go to information. Anybody, I'll go down the informational items. If you want to talk, stop me. A is public comment log, none. CRA development project update, Boynton Harbor Marina. C is the CRA development project update, parking lot project. D is business development advertising campaign. It's all in your backup, but if you want, okay.
Okay.
There are none. Go to public comments. Anybody in the audience wishes to address the commission, the board on items not on the agenda may do so at this time. We ask you to give your name and address for the record and try to make your comment in a 3-minute time period. Any items not on the agenda?
Hello, board members. Victoria Castello, 406 South Seacrest Boulevard. In your minutes that you approved, it said something about I wouldn't be getting my the rent that I paid for the little house back. I just would like to go on record that I never asked for it back. Thank you.
You're welcome. With the board's approval, I would like to, under new business, we're down to new business now, and I would like to maybe move item E up, because we do have that, we could handle that one, because I think when we get to A, B, C, and D will take a little more time. And we have somebody in the audience that is going to speak to this item also. So it's all right with the board if we go to item E?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion say all in favor? Aye. So the motion has. Item E is consideration of changing the date for the holiday boat parade for 2014. Did you want to comment on this?
Yes, the date of the boat parade was changed actually during the, staff recommended the change during the budget workshop. And the reason for that was that during the captain's award luncheon last year, that Amy had discussed with the captains what was a better date for them, and they had suggested Saturday because it's too hard for them to get home and decorate their boats. And so it was really just a function of that, nothing else, because it really doesn't matter to us, the date, actually. So that was all that it had to do with it. She just polled them again today, or yesterday, I think it was Monday. And again, the same result was that their preference is for the Saturday, only for that reason is they're able to get home and decorate the boat and get their crew on the boat. Because if most of you have seen the boat parade, they generally have their friends and family on the boat. So that's the only reason that we suggested it. It had nothing to do with anything else.
Well, let me comment. First of all, it's always in the past been on Friday. And there was change this year to Saturday, I understand, because the boat captain's request. But a lot of those boat captains, in the past, they've always done our boat parade on Friday here, Boynton and Delray, and then a lot of them go to Lauderdale for the Saturday down in Lauderdale. And one of the reasons we want to move it back to Friday is that Delray has their Christmas parade on Saturday in their downtown, and this would conflict with that. And so Delray, there's people in Delray said, can't you keep it on Friday because we don't want to have that conflict. And I really think between our two cities, we need to keep that good relationship between the two cities. And I can tell you that, and we might as well bring it up too, there was as you see, you got a lot of backup. Our CRA, which took over the boat parade, used to be involved in, Mr. Reeve Bright is here. He was one of the guys that first started in Delray when I was with him in Kiwanis. The Kiwanis used to really run that boat parade out of Delray. They were always involved. And then we kind of somehow, I don't know all the situations, but it got taken over first by the city, and then we turned it over to CRA. And one of the problems we just figured out this year was that because the CRA is running it, there's a little concern about going outside the CRA boundaries for any kind of event. We're not allowed to do that by the law, the state law we work under. So we've been in contact with Delray since back in August or September, seeing if they would kick in with this. If they would kick in, we could say, well, it's a two-party thing. We can do this, and then get around what the state requires. Unfortunately, there's been a whole turnover in the Delray government, and they had no idea about the boat parade, what we were talking about, and we couldn't find anybody there that could get a reply. We talked to a lot of different departments down there, and none of them ever came back in the time to help it. So then when Mr. Reeve Bright heard about it just about a couple of weeks ago, I think, and he called me, and I talked with, for the record, I talked with Mr. Reeve Bright about this. We've seen if there's some way we can do something about this. And I explained to him our problem about the CRA needing some participation from the other city in order for us to make it legal, because they were going to stop at our city limits down here by George Bush Boulevard and turn around and come back. And for years, the Delray's always along the intercoastal. Those people have enjoyed that parade. Well, because of the short notice here this year, Reeve has stepped in, and he said he would do what he could for me to try to collect some funding for us to kick in to show that they're participating. Plus, we're going to see if we could get any of their staff, Delray staff, maybe the police or something, to help at the bridge openings and things like that. And so I can ask Mr. Reeve Bright to tell us how he made out there, because that's where, because I talked, Mike Simon was in on it, we talked about it, and what we're trying to do is keep it the same this year, and then we're planning next year, we're going to say, okay, guys, now that we got their attention, we're going to say, here's what's got to happen next year before we can do the same thing.
May I say something, please,
Sure.
first? To me, it's a simple issue. What's better for the city of Boynton Beach? It's not a matter of Delray or not. You personally, I'm gathering by what you said, you reached out to Delray. That's their problem. If their government's not functioning together, it's not our problem. The issue is what's the best thing for Boynton Beach. If our CRA feels that Saturday's better, then I back Saturday for the reasons that they would give. What Delray has, their issues, that's their issues. Our issues is simply what's best for Boynton Beach. And if Saturday's better, then I personally will stick with Saturday.
Well, I think one thing you got to remember is that if Delray was doing something that was conflicted with what we're doing in Boynton, and we asked them if they would cooperate with us, we'd hope that they would. So that's what's happening. We're trying to be cooperative between the two cities,
I
and not
understand.
because they do have their parade that night.
I think it's a juggling act in the sense, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the simple answer, I think, is what's better for Boynton Beach. If it doesn't matter, then I consent and say, let's change it. But if the CRA and the people who are participants in the parade feel it's better, then we have to make this positive, and you make it positive by all the people working together in our city. So I think the answer depends on what the CRA feels. You're advising us. You're informing us.
Well, I talked with Mike Simon. We were all involved, and Vivian were involved, and they said they had no problem with
I'd like
doing
to
the
hear
same
them
thing this
say it.
year. Well, Mr. Bright, would you like?
Well, don't you think they should answer?
Yeah, I'll wait in a minute, but I'm going to him first.
Chair, before he,
Go ahead.
I heard what Board Member Merker said, but, it's called being good neighbors, and I'm just saying, so we need to kind of like slow down and take on the good neighbor atmosphere. I'm just saying, we're two cities, we're close, we always have worked together, we need to continue. I'm just saying, and let's hear both sides of the argument before we make a decision, so I want to.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Reeve Bright. I live at 700 Seasage Drive in Delray Beach. And I appreciate you listening to me tonight. And I want to give you a little boat parade history. I don't know what year it is, the 40th year of the boat parade. The boat parade was originally started by the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And the first 5 or 6 years it was run by them. In the early 80s, when Ronald Reagan became president, they passed some regulation in the federal government that the Coast Guard Auxiliary couldn't sponsor things because they didn't have insurance. And there was going to be no boat parade. And the boat parade was the Boynton Delray or Delray Boynton Holiday Boat Parade. It ran from the C-15 Canal. It actually starts at the Boynton Inlet and goes to the C-15 Canal, and that's how it's always been. They came to me. I went to Kiwanis, and Mayor Taylor wasn't mayor then,
Right.
all those years
Long
ago.
time ago.
And Kiwanis had a blanket insurance policy which allowed them to at no cost to them, sponsor the parade. And I remained the chairman of that parade for 30-some years. And I'm not here to cast aspersions on Boynton or Delray, but for most of that time after Jerry got moved on to other things, I ran the parade. I had some help from people in Boynton. There was a realtor whose name I cannot remember, and who's dead now, but he also was the marshal of your land parade one year, and he helped me with the organizing of the boats and that. And that's what we did, and then we had the man from the gas stop, Rob, who got involved, and he helped with the boats.
Was that Harvey Oria?
It was not Harvey. I would have remembered that.
So
Anyway,
okay.
the point is that we did that, and there wasn't any financial contribution from the city of Boynton Beach, and nobody ever said, and I never said, those bums in Boynton don't want to give us any money. It's a holiday parade. It was for both towns, and that was the way it was. Why was it on Friday night? I'll tell you why it was on Friday night. It was on the Friday night before the Boca Raton parade, which was on a Saturday. And in those days, the theory was they could come to the Boynton Delray parade on Friday. Their boat would be decorated. They could go down and participate Saturday in the Boca parade. And if they wanted to, had the stamina, on Sunday night, they could do the Pompano parade. And we organized and we got them slips at those days at the Delray Beach Yacht Club on the west side of the Intercoastal, and they would either let them stay there for free or for such a reduced rate so they didn't have to take their boats back north and they could stay there. And that's the reason that it was on a Friday night. All the years I did it, I never had anybody complain to me that they couldn't get ready on a Friday night. That's where we came to Friday nights. But the real thing was, all the time we ran this parade, the town of West Palm Beach tried to have a boat parade. Lantana tried to get into this parade, and the boat parade in West Palm Beach that was sponsored by a TV station died. Why did it die? It died because the canal, the Intercoastal, is too wide up there. The people can't see the boats. The skippers can't interact with the people. And I heard that for 30 years, that's why it died. We didn't extend it up to Lantana Bridge for the same reason. The Intercoastal's too wide, and it takes the parade. It would take it way too long to get through it. But I guess my point is, it's always been the two towns. They came to me when Rob wanted to get out, and he said, the city of Boynton wants to run the parade. So I said, they want to run the parade, I'm happy to help them. No, the city of Boynton is going to take it over, and they're going to run the parade. I ran the parade for 30-some years, and I never said screw Boynton because they're not helping me, other than a couple of civilians. And now I heard that that there's a conflict because you said it. I know you didn't do it on purpose on a night that Delray can't do it because they have that Atlantic Avenue bridge is down for the street parade, which starts east of the Intercoastal and goes over, and it just wouldn't work. So what I'm asking is that you move it to the 12th. I know that Boynton has a different vision for your downtown, for the parade, than really Delray does. But one of the shames about this parade, we used to have fireworks, and you'd go to the people who make the money on the parade, the restaurants on the Intercoastal, the Two Georges, the Banana Boat, what used to be Bush's, and Old Calypso, and you say, man, they're going to have fireworks, and Bush's was charging $125 a head to sit there and watch the parade, but they wouldn't give you any money. But I did tell Mayor Taylor, and I will do that I will raise some private funds to to donate to the CRA to try and offset some of the expenses. We didn't have the expenses that you have, but I will be a man of my word, and I will get that done, and I have talked to some people. The bridges in Delray were always manned, and they will be manned again if we get the people, we apply for the right permits. The police department has always manned those bridges for free. They didn't charge the parade. They did it, and I don't know what they figured it cost, but that was always done. So I'm asking that you move it to the 12th, which is a Friday night. Maybe next year we would think about doing it the night before the Boca Parade. Maybe we get more boats. Maybe we won't. I don't know where the boats are coming from this year, but it just seems to me that this has been a community event in our two towns for 40-some years, and to just throw it under the bus by an inadvertent, and I say inadvertent because I know nobody did it on purpose, scheduling snafu, I just don't think is right. So I ask you to change it to the 12th. I'd stand ready to help you, do whatever you need, but that is a short history. If you got any questions, I could tell you boat parade stories till they can't. You'd be here till 9 o'clock.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Question?
Would this create any confusion amongst the captains now that we had said it Saturday, now it's going to potentially go back to the Friday? Can we get the word out there? It's definitely Friday.
I don't even.
Mike can address
I
that.
talked to Mike Simon about it. He said he thought
told
they
me
could
to
do
do
that,
that.
but you need to ask your people because I haven't
told me he could do
talked
it.
to any captains.
All right, so it'd be, okay.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair.
I have a
Mr.
couple
Buchanan?
questions.
Yeah.
Are you asking that we move it to the 12th and still stay within the Boynton city limits and not
No.
go to Delray?
No, I'm asking that the parade be as it has for 40-some years and go to the C-15 canal. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so in other words, you're asking us to violate the law.
No.
I'm not asking you to violate any law, and I'm telling you that I will get donations for the CRA.
As long as
Do
there's
we-
a partnership, we can do it.
Yeah, but what extent is that partnership? Let me say this. I will about the Boynton Delray boat parade. I live on the Intercoastal, and the Boynton end of the Delray Boynton boat parade is the short end of the stick because it starts so early in Boynton that many people can't get there to see it. So to me, that's not it's not a big plus for the city of Boynton for that boat parade to start up here at 6:30 at night and be gone when most people can hardly get off work at that time and go see it. So in that and by the way, that happened to me. I used to try and give a party on that night because we're on the Intercoastal, and truth, the boats are far away. But it wasn't that I gave it up. Is because none of my guests could get there in time to see the boat parade because it starts early. But so that concerns me a little bit. But on top of that, what, and this is such a late time to be doing this, it's already set, but what, and maybe, Ken, maybe you can answer this legally, what kind of, how, is it, is a donation of $2 let us go outside the city limits, or does it have to be an equal amount, or some, in Delray, the time I've been on this board, and obviously for years before that, has shown no real interest in doing anything except having the parade go down that far. But so for us to be legal in doing this, or defensible, I guess, rather than legal.
Better word.
Defensible.
Yeah.
What would Delray have to kick in to make it a joint as opposed to a kind of a, I don't want to use the word sham, but just a token participation? What would we have to have come into this parade from Delray to make it a legitimate partnership?
I say,
I don't think that that there is a formula that is going to give you the precise number that would be necessary. I think based on the overall nature of the program, the substantial amount of activity within the CRA and then within the Delray, we'd be looking at what we might call a proportional amount. I mean, I couldn't, well, I until I have more knowledge about the dollars involved in the program, I really couldn't give you a number, whether it would be 20%, 50%, 70%.
could I say one
I
thing?
could speak to that.
The point I asked a simple question, and it hasn't been answered. Actually, it's been double talked. What is best for Boynton Beach? And the answers should come from the CRA because they're putting the time and effort into this. So is it a yes or is it a no? If it will be more successful on a Saturday, then that's the way we have to think. If it doesn't matter, if it's Saturday or Friday, then I agree totally, let's be a team effort. But first, is it better for Boynton Beach Saturday or not? I don't think that's such a complicated question.
It's not a complicated question, and I can tell you, and we'll let them say
Well,
something.
they should.
Well, don't interrupt me, please.
Well, you said, and I heard what you said.
No, I'm saying something else now.
I've been asking them to answer, and
Well,
that's what I'm waiting for.
I will let them answer, but I'm going to tell you, we are the board. They advise us. They don't make the decision. We
Well,
make the decision.
I'm waiting for the advice.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to change my wording? I want to hear the advice from the CRA. Yes or no, which is better for Boynton Beach? I don't think it's a complicated question.
Yes, Board Member Hay.
Here's where I am on this situation. I think it goes beyond whether it's best for Boynton or Delray. In the current situation, if we don't want any bad blood here between the two cities over such a small amount of money. I think the total cost of this thing is somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. Does somebody correct me here?
I think we have a budget of $12,000, something like this. We do advertising and marketing, which we didn't do before, and awards and giving money, which was not done in the past.
But we don't want to get into a mudslinging over what I consider not that big of a deal here based on what's at stake. We've had a good relationship with Delray over the years. And I think because of the turnover in Delray, as this gentleman just stated, I'm certain that we can get together with the leaders of Delray Beach and tell them all we're looking for is that you come to the table, okay, with a check and help put on this activity, which is benefiting both cities. It is mutually beneficial to Boynton and Delray to have this. Now, I'm willing to go along with doing it on Friday this year, with the understanding that we come back to the table next year and before next year and talk about this as to what we can do to create a partnership that would be, equal and justified. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that we have the newspaper back here, and no disrespect to her, but I can see the headlines now if we make a decision like Boynton becomes the Grinch that stole Christmas type of thing. Let me finish. We have gone through these kind of things before, and Boynton has a reputation sometime not always coming out the best, okay? And I think in due diligence, in the spirit of Christmas or the holidays or whatever you want to say, is that we go with Friday and go back to the table and talk about this thing on next year, and then we make that decision that we have to make.
Board Member Fitzpatrick and then Board Member.
Well, seeing how it's only a month away, I believe the most important thing is continuity. And so I think we just do it, and as other people have stated, plan better for next year with all the stakeholders. I'm sorry, I forgot your name?
Reeve Bright.
Reeve Bright. Bright?
Bright.
Okay. Reeve.
Reeve. Just call me Reeve. R-E-E-V-E.
All right. Mr. Reeve or Reeve is, I'm sure sounds like he's heavily involved in Delray, and we'll go back and tune up the recreation parks of Delray, so they'll be on board next year. So right now, the thing is to get it out the door. We're a month away. Well, let's just do it. And as far as headlines, I'd like to point out that my understanding is newspaper reporters don't write the headlines. That's their editor's job.
That's why I say that, because she would put a good headline on it, but she doesn't make that last decision.
Board Member Casella?
'Tis the season to be jolly. This has been a success for 30-plus years, and it's not broken. If it's not broken, let's not try to fix it. Let's go with the understanding we'll do it the Friday, and as the Board Member Hayes said, we'll come to the table and we'll get the logistics straightened out for next year if we have to. But it's not broken this year. Let's continue it. It's supposed to be for the benefit of both, for Boynton Beach, which it does benefit. I see the crowds here in Boynton Beach. And I know 6:30 might be a little early, but there is crowds out there. And I think it's a goodwill gesture to our neighbors, to ourselves. And I think that working in harmony is the best resolution.
Board Member McCray?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel that we need to go ahead and work and see if we could change the time probably from 6:30 probably to 7. Probably that might be a stipulation, and find out from our director how much money you all need to bring to the table so we'll be, in line with what the state says. I'm just saying I'm in favor of it. I'm just saying, the boat parade has always been a boat parade. Let's continue with due diligence. And I'm just saying next time we will start in January instead of waiting until y'all said August. I'm just saying, we know what we ran into this year. We just start earlier. That's all. And plan for it.
Marker?
Yes. Again, I raised the question. I still haven't gotten an answer. I want to know, I'll use your word, Mayor, advice. What is the advice of the CRA? Obviously, it's an issue because it's on the agenda. If it wasn't a simple thing, I agree with everybody on the principle that if it's better for Boynton Beach, you do it. And the idea of change is healthy. If you can make it better by making it on a Saturday, you do it Saturday.
Executive Director, you want to answer this question?
Well, we obviously felt Saturday was better for the majority of the residents within the CRA. That's why we recommended it originally at the budget meeting.
Is it better for the people of Boynton Beach? Let me ask it that
That's
way.
why we recommended that,
Okay.
because that's who we serve. We
Thank
serve those folks, and we felt, and based on the response from the captains, we started very early trying to work with Delray, and again, due to a huge turnover in their staff, trying to get to the right people was a problem, and you'll see all the emails there. And we said, this is the timeline we need to know, because we have to plan not only this event, but Pirates and Holiday and et cetera, et cetera. They said they went to commission, and then nothing. So
Well, maybe I just have to say this. I don't think it'll make a difference to the Boynton's of residents, whether it's Friday or Saturday. They're just as happy. It's been Friday
Right.
every year for 30-some years. So I don't see why it's going to make a big difference to do it on Saturday, why it's better for the people of
We
Boynton.
were just
because
trying
it's
to
Saturday.
cover more
No, you
area.
were trying to respond to the boat captains who said they'd like a little more time to get their boats ready, is what you told me.
And
So
also
that
for
was
the
thing.
people
So-
of the city, the citizen. If
Get
it's
more
better for the
captains, get more
citizenry,
captains.
that's the thing that counts.
Get more boat captains. Because we had, we're trying to get more captains is what we're trying to do.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'm ready to make a motion.
go ahead, please.
I move that we keep the boat parade on Friday
And do the normal route.
with the normal rep.
And Mr. Bright will see what he can do to raise some
I
funds to
will,
offset.
you have my
And
word.
then
I
next
will
year,
do
we
it.
come to the negotiation table.
That's right.
Just, I'd like to.
Call me up, I'll be there, I
Let me
appreciate
get
it.
a second. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
I have a motion, second
And
discussion.
discussion?
I'd just like to have the stipulation that, that the monies would be in place, so legally, we are able to continue to do what we're doing. That's all I ask, whatever that number is.
Prior to the boat.
Prior to the boat parade. Okay,
Right.
that's great.
Well, and as far as discussion goes, some effort wouldn't hurt either. As far as, there's a lot of manpower goes into this. So there's two things, there's manpower and money. And while we're being full of Christmas cheer and doing all this for Delray, we have to look at this realistically. Delray has done nothing for us. So while we're doing this, this is a pure gift from our side. And that needs to be kept in mind. And I do believe that the boat parade is much better served being on a Saturday, both for people able to attend and for boat captains. And I think that even if I'd like to see a stipulation added to that motion in which, of course, it's stupid because it's so close to the time, but I don't want to see us violate the law.
You're
And
not
if there's,
violating the
if there's
law.
nothing comes up that where it's legitimately a partnership, then I think we have a real problem. So I don't know how we put that in at this late date.
We looked into that, and you're not violating the law. I already looked into that with Mr. Simon and Vivian. As long as they contribute something, we're not violating the law.
But what is something? I mean, how much is there?
I don't, well, something would be,
I mean,
even if it
50
was
cents?
several $100s, it would be something,
Well,
and that would do it.
Ken, would that, in
Mr.
your
Chairman.
opinion, would that be sufficient?
Hold on.
To the extent that the funding presented by the CRA is servicing the program in the CRA boundaries. In other words, whatever services are being purchased, whatever products are being purchased, whatever marketing is being done. To the extent that it is directed to servicing the CRA and people within the boundaries of the CRA, that would be the portion that the CRA can legally spend. To the extent that it is supporting, it, to any extent, the portion of the parade in Delray Beach, that is where funding would need to come from the partnership. I can't give you an exact dollar amount now, but one of the comments that Vivian made to me was that marketing is an area where there was a desire to get some funding to assist in the marketing. The marketing is something that does, whether you want it to or not, go beyond the boundaries of the CRA. So that's one area that if funding is provided as part of that partnership, then you do have a joint operation. And, you know, it's the fact that there are boats that go down into Delray Beach standing by itself is not going to be a violation of the CRA statutes.
Excuse me.
Any money we get will be spent in what to put on the program here in Boynton.
The one thing you're not doing, Ken, is you're not defining a contract. A contract is both sides receiving benefits. When you don't define both sides, you're not completing a contract. One is null, one is receiving. Again, I raise the question, the contract is the people of Boynton Beach. And the reason we have a CRA in this situation, when someone says, I believe means nothing. It's a thought. And each one of us could have different thoughts. But when we get advice from a board on something like this, which is a major function in which what they do, then I go by what the board says. And it's not a matter of fighting Del Rey. The mayor himself said they never called back. If they're having problems, that's not our problem. The issue is simple. What is best for the people of Boynton Beach? And it was answered. The CRA believes that Saturday is better for the people of Boynton Beach. It's black and white then.
I want to ask you, Commissioner, Board Member Buchanan, you mentioned that Delray never gave anything. For years, Delray generated this boat parade, and Boynton was the recipient of the thing for that. We weren't giving anything back then. We never gave anything back then.
I understand, but I'm talking about now and our obligations.
Yeah,
now.
well, now is, this is a situation just came up, and we're addressing it, and we're going to correct it. And we're going to make it happen like it's always has until next year we're going to sit down and say, okay, we got to draw some new rules here. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? But McCray.
Council, you just said that once we get down to where our CRA city limits end, the boats can continue to just go by themselves? Did I hear that?
No, I'm saying the fact that boats go beyond the city limit, standing by itself doesn't violate our charter to the extent that we pay for that activity could.
Okay, so how do we get around that? Do we support this at Boynton? If we don't, go with Delray, just tell Boynton that when you get to there, just turn around. Well, who controls if they keep on going? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Nothing.
Board Member McCray, I'm a little disadvantaged because I don't know all of the. This is new to me right now too.
Okay.
What I can do is, as the information is presented and the planning goes forward, I can advise staff that this particular expenditure would not be appropriate or that it would be. I can't give you that answer tonight without having the information in front of me.
I will tell you that the boats in that parade are contributing for prizes, and we give them the route that we want them to do. And they need to complete that route in order to be eligible for those prizes. That's why we tell them where to go, and that's where they've always gone in the past. Yes.
At the end of the parade, how it was run in the 30-some years that I ran it, the Coast Guard Auxiliary, not the Boynton Police Department, ran the parade on the water. And they put a boat at the C-15 canal, and to win a prize, you had to go around the boat at the C-15 canal. But that wasn't an expenditure of Boynton. That was the Coast Guard Auxiliary doing that. And that was the way it functioned, so everybody got to see the parade.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue like we have in the past, and for next year, get together and redesign the rules. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nays.
2 nays?
Yes.
Show the motion passes 5-2. Okay,
Well,
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We'll go back to new business, item A, consideration of entering into a exclusive listing agreement with the firm of Practice and Company for the CRA-owned property at 480 East Ocean Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
This is back before you with some changes that the board wanted to see. And they're summarized about midway through. These are at your direction. And basically, you wanted that there would be a reduction in the minimum commission. So it went from $10,000 to $5,000. That's under Section 1. Then under Section 3, his right to a commission on a sale or lease was extended to 1 year after he showed the property and we decided to lease or sell the property. And you want us to change that, so we put that to 6 months. That was one of the changes. And then in Exhibit A, we changed the terms. We took out request for proposal, and we just listed the required documentation that we were looking for, that the interested party would submit to Practice and Company, and so that he can find the right party. And so this was basically the changes that the board looked for. They didn't agree with the commission level, the minimum commission level, and they didn't agree with how long he could get that commission after the point of contact with the interested party. So those changes were made, and these were sent to Mr. Practice, and he could not be here tonight, I'm sorry. So that this would, staff is recommending that this replace the RFP process. Then when you are brought the potential businesses, that then you select one that you like for each property, that then we do a notice, a 30-day notice to dispose of property, which is how we did the property for the Family Dollar, which there's two ways to do a disposal of property within a CRA, and that's the RFP process or the 30-day notice to dispose. So there's two ways to do it. The RFP is kind of we discussed as how lengthy it is, and it's a lot of onus on the respondent. This is basically putting the onus on the broker to work with these people and say, do they have the right things to be in business, and do they have the right concept to be in this location, in this market? So that's, if you look at the Exhibit A, it's very filled out. It's actually become quite very filled out with everything we want the broker to bring back, the information and the types of businesses that we would like to see and not see. We did a long list of what we don't want to see, to make sure we're not getting the kind of businesses that the city doesn't even want to see either. So
I'd like to make a motion to table this. I would like Mr. Practice here to answer our questions. That's why it was changed. We didn't vote it on the last time, and I think he should be here so we can ask direct questions to him.
if I could make a recommendation, the longer we wait, the longer these properties sit vacant. And I thought the goal was to get the properties.
The goal is to get the property done. However, when you're dealing with someone who's supposed to do a job, I feel the person should be there, because that's why we postponed it, so we can speak to him. He could recalculate his thoughts, and he would present the case. For us to present it for you to present it for him, to me, is not professional.
You directed what you wanted, and he agreed standing here to.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of second. I have a question. I got a couple questions. In one place here, it says the commission on the rental shall be 5% of the basic lease amount, and initial phase, or $5,000, whichever is greater. Then down below here, it says, so I'm reading further on, the sales commission shall be due and payable at the consummation of sale transaction, except otherwise provided. This agreement minimum commission payable to the broker is $10,000. So I don't-
Perhaps it didn't get changed. It's what is on the cover page. And let's see.
Under sales commission, I'm looking under, right there on the first thing, practicing
page on
company.
Yeah, that's on page 107.
106, 107. 107
Yeah.
is where the 10,000.
Oh, we didn't change this, it's only on the lease? Okay, Mike says they only changed the, they didn't change the sale commission, they only changed the lease, because a lease is going to be a lot lower than a sale. The sale will be a higher number, so in other words, the property may sell for $500,000. So,
Sorry.
so he's,
So-
what he's saying is, that, I don't know why. What was the rationale for that, Mike?
I'm an assistant director with the CRA. Mr. Practice didn't suggest adjusting that night when you were talking to him the sale commission. The concern was that the $10,000 minimum on the lease seemed excessive if the amount of the lease was typically as low as it is. Susan and I ran numbers on, you can do the math on a $1,000 a month lease, and then you have 5 or 6% of that is what's due. those numbers are very low compared to what a sales price would be. I mean, it could be 10% of a sales price overall. If it's $60,000 for a 5-year lease, you're talking about $3,500 in commission, or $5,000, whichever is greater. The chances of you negotiating a more favorable lease rate for a tenant would exclude potentially him from earning a fee for, let's say, only a 3-year lease or a 3-year paid lease. But in the sale, there's a lot more work that goes involved, or theoretically the same work, if not more, on a sale, and the potential for fee should be higher, similar to what you'd see in a residential contract. Typically, commercial contracts, brokerage contracts can exceed the amount that you are agreeing to, or he is, by almost double. That is not unusual to see commercial brokerage rates in the 10 to 12%, depending on the size of the project. You know, a shopping center, of course, or some very high-profile piece of commercial property on Atlantic Avenue. But if you sell it, he's acting as a broker on your behalf for the sale. And 6% can still be negotiated, but it seemed reasonable under the conditions where the lease was not to you, or the term of the time after, as Vivian explained, to leave a potential lessee or buyer on the table for a year.
Let's say that you said a lease maybe be $1,000 a month. You said, just taking a figure out of the air, so it'd be $12,000 a year.
It's 35, yes, sir.
So he would get
$60,000 over 5 years, which would end up around $3,500 in commission,
500.
or $5,000 for the. That's kind of where,
Or the minimum.
as opposed to
In that case,
10.
he'd get the
Yes, sir.
5,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Right,
10.
yeah.
Right.
And in a sale, he would get 10,000 period, or is there a percentage?
No, the percentage. But
In
if
the
you
sale?
consider the potential of the value that you would accept.
That's right, because let's say you sold it for
Right.
$500,000.
Yes, sir.
Is 6% of that be like 30,000?
Yes, sir. Or from the broker's perspective, similar to what you might do in a lease, by not charging a tenant for the first 2 years, thereby reducing the amount of potential commission. If you decided to give the property to
Right.
the potential buyer because you think it's a great opportunity, all of the work that he's done on representing you would be for zero. And I think that's where the
His concern is.
compensation for the professional realtor is certainly.
Personally, just so you know where I'm coming from, I thought it was a mistake before to give whoever leased it a year free. You know, either you got the money to run a business or you don't, and that's where I'm coming from. So anyway.
And that certainly will be a
Fine.
consideration next time. I think they'll all look at it differently this time.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
Well, I'm glad you come back with this, Sarah. I know the first time I read it, and I brought it to the attention, and the commission, the board agreed with me that I thought it was kind of outrageous, some of the original terms in it. These are more, palatable to me. These numbers, are more in line what I think it should be. I don't know if we're going to talk about it as we list each B and C here, but in our discussion, Mike, we discussed what we wanted there and what we didn't want there, and some of the things that they had to go through to even be considered. And one of my concerns was the pigeonholing of maybe somebody with a great idea but never owned a business before, but it had the financing and the backing to move forward. Are we going to? Has that been changed, or
In our discussion, I would suggest that if the rest of the board felt that those would support you in that idea to eliminate or change the criteria that we've asked the broker to collect, then I
Right.
think that that's a responsible action.
Right.
It really, whether you say it's a great concept and you have financial backing, should be considered, or you want to add another category that takes into account that someone might have the specific experience in business that you're looking for, but has a great track record of business in some other aspect of their life. That's certainly up to the board to change or make adjustments to the categories that we provided.
I think the board, I think we know what we don't want there.
Yes, sir.
I think that's
Right.
pretty clear, what
Right.
we don't want, what we won't tolerate there.
Right.
But I think we should be open and gather as many,
Yes, sir.
ideas that come in and not narrow, be narrow-minded about it and say, well, you don't meet criteria 1 or criteria 2, but your idea might be good, but you don't
Right.
meet that
Well,
criteria.
the first one you
can't-
remember is the little house, and so it's
sir.
probably really lends itself.
I understand. I had this nice discussion with
Yeah.
Mike the other day
Yeah.
about, things that could and couldn't go on.
Well, and I think, Commissioner, you're trying to expand the list of criteria as a submittal, not as a concept. You're asking for an adjustment or additional items that broaden what I would provide you as a potential respondent. If I don't meet the restaurant or bar, then that's not really what you're saying. If it falls in that category, that's okay. But the discussion I think that you were having was to broaden, these 5 items of documentation that someone would need to respond to. You said if a person hadn't done a restaurant but had a great concept and financial support to do
Would
it,
we consider that person?
because they didn't have proof of ownership of a restaurant before.
Right.
You did not want to eliminate that type of a person.
Correct.
You weren't saying that they could come up with a completely different concept than a restaurant or bar.
Correct.
You could say, take that out. You can take that out.
Well, I just, once again, I just don't want to make it so narrow, make it so rigid that if they don't fit that, they can't apply, and it might be a great idea, and it might be a
Well,
great concept. And
I want to caution us that we don't want to have another failure, because we
don't want to miss out another, Ray Kroc and
Mario.
McDonald's or stuff like that,
Well,
guys
yeah,
that started in the garage,
Yeah, he did.
That's my line
Yeah.
of thinking here. I just don't want to pigeonhole us
agree.
into narrow-mindedness.
Yeah, you never know. You're right. You never know where the next great thing's going to come
Exactly.
from. So,
Yes, Mr. Merkel. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I just find this interesting listening to this conversation without the gentleman who's working on commission not being here. When you work on commission, I've done this my whole life. You work on commission, you better be there in front of the client. The question that Vice Mayor Casello's bringing up, or anyone else on this, he should be the one that's answering. If he's getting paid and there's questions of contract, and I use that word contract again, because when he gets paid, he's going into a contract. He's not here. He's not here to dot the I and cross the T. I agree, we should not delay, but if the person who's making the money is not here, then he obviously doesn't give a damn enough, and I don't care what the excuse is. When you work on commission, you should be here, you wanted to be here, you're not here, and every question that's being asked now, he should be answering, not us.
Commissioner McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to say it like Commissioner Merker said it, but I just want to know from Vivian, what was his reason for not being here?
his wife's mother's sick, and he's got young children. His wife's mother's out of state.
But let me see, we changed the date we usually have it on Tuesday, and we changed it to Wednesday. And he was already, I know you cannot sickness, but I'm just saying he was aware that this was coming up.
Well,
I've heard of babysitters.
We're the client, so it's really, if we say we want to list the house without the appliances, you list the house without the appliances. And that's how it works in the real estate world. I want to list this restaurant without the fixtures. I want to list this restaurant with the fixtures. That's the way it works. Then they go out and they market it and try to find people that fit that mold. And Mike can tell you, he's in the real estate business.
Mr. Chair? Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
Ms. Buchanan.
I kind of feel like we're getting a lot of trees in the way of the forest here. This seems fairly simple to me. We're giving this man who's highly experienced in the restaurant business the opportunity to bring potential clients to us. No matter what those clients look, and he obviously should filter out those who are not feasible, totally. Once we're past that, those who are, where it's financially feasible at least, he brings that to us. We judge at that time who's going to go in here, if anybody. We owe him nothing if we turn down everybody that he digs up. And also, we're in no way obligated to choose anybody that he brings to us. So I just feel like it makes sense to move forward, let him do his thing best he can, bring potential buyers, renters, leasers, whatever, forward to us. Let us decide if we like their approach, whether we think it could be successful, whether it pleases us. So therefore, I think I just go with it and move on now. And it doesn't matter whether it's here or not tonight, because we'd still be doing the same thing. So I'd just like to see us say, go with it, get potential buyers, leasers, whatever, as soon as possible, so we can make decisions and see if we cannot move those properties forward.
Okay. Anybody else here? That's one last thing, because when he said that, if he brought somebody in that he said was very viable and has the money and all that, says, here's a good client, this is really somebody to prove, we say, but we don't want them, do we have to pay him anything?
No.
Okay, that's all I want to make clear
I have one point.
on the record.
If I may, Mayor?
Yes.
I have one point. We are assuming an assumption, and again, I am not against Mr. Practice. When he was here last time, I was totally for his presentation. However, I'm reiterating. I feel very strongly that we don't need complications. And yes, I hear everybody, and I'm not against Mr. Practice, but what bothers me, and I'll shut my mouth, is that he is not here to complete the deal, to complete the answers, to answer the questions that the commission has. And the idea, we're assuming that he's the cat's meow on what he does. I don't know about you, but when I go to buy something, I want that person in front of me. I want to feel, I want to believe, and I want it presented that that person knows what he's doing. That was the first time personally, I don't know about anybody else, that was the first time personally I ever heard this man speak. Was he impressive? Did he seem like he had the credentials? Prove it to me. And you prove it when a person answers the questions that he's supposed to be paid for. And that's the part that's why I mentioned the table. I am not against him. But the man wants to get paid. If you want to get paid, then be there in front of the client. And we're the client because we're going to wind up paying him.
Board Member Casella?
Mike, just real quickly, where it says parties interested in submitting an offer to lease or purchase must provide those 5 bullet points there. That's just going to be a guideline. That's not etched in stone, correct? That's what I was alluding to earlier.
Yes, sir. If this is the criteria, and I am responding to that set criteria, and I don't meet one of those, then
You're not considered.
it would be similar to an RFP when we had documentation required for an RFP, and if you didn't submit all the documentation, you were found to be incomplete. So that's why I'm suggesting if the board wants to add or subtract or manipulate the language here in any way, this is the time to do it.
We sat in your office, and you and I did a little manipulating there, didn't we?
Well, as I mentioned before, we got to the place where this was your desire to try to see how it could be, if the rest of the board supported that concept, that you would want to be able to do that. We didn't offer language on that particular point. We can do that tonight, or I'd hate to bring it back again, but if we want to massage that in some way between Vivian and Ken and myself or the other board members on how to expand your experience level or documentation that would allow for, if you wanted to add prior ownership of a restaurant, bar establishment, or other successful business, I don't know what language you would add to.
I kind of agree with the Vice Mayor here. I'd like to open it up to any kind of great idea that would be a dynamic thing there. Maybe it ain't a bar or restaurant.
Okay.
Maybe it's some other commercial activity that would quit foot traffic down there. That's what. So I don't want to limit it to just them people.
Okay, so we'll
those
take
kind
out,
of
we'll take out
ideas.
sold type of business, we'll take that out.
Okay.
And we'll take out desired hours of operation. And then, I think, if we take out, the top one, proof of current ownership, and then leave the rest?
Page 111, right?
This is page 111.
Exhibit A.
111,
Yeah,
Exhibit A.
Mayor, Vice Mayor Casella, could I ask you a question, please? When you mention potentially another, are you saying potentially another form of business besides the restaurant business? If that's the case, then obviously that's not his forte. So therefore, if that's that, you're putting in a caveat, then maybe you need another type of broker or in that situation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we've been through this so much, and I really would like to see us stick with the restaurant and bar concept. That's what drives business. That's always the early successes in an area. And I think, you're not going to have success with some kind of retail or antique store or anything like that. You got people down there to eat, drink, have fun, enjoy being there.
What
So I
about a
think
bed and breakfast?
A bed and breakfast?
Yeah.
In the Little
Truthfully,
House?
no, I don't think that would generate enough foot traffic.
In the Little House, we're talking about the Little House.
And you're talking about two very small buildings anyway.
Well, let's just say, just pulling things out of the air, let's say the Blossom Shop went out of business, wasn't there. What if it was a flower shop? And that would create a lot of business there in the Little House. That building, it's a small building really for a restaurant and a bar. Very small.
Well, that's true, but a flower shop does not create a lot of business.
It doesn't? I think the Blossom Shop's been
not
doing
foot
dynamite
traffic.
for
I mean,
years.
you don't have that turnover, the foot traffic or whatever. There are very few retail businesses that generate anywhere near the. I don't know of any.
Foot traffic, I think what.
Foot traffic, that's what I'm talking
If you want to create a downtown, what you want to create is the foot traffic. That's what I believe we're shooting for here. So I'm not saying you don't want those other businesses, but if we're doing it, the CRA, I'm imagining what we're trying to do is be the ones creating the most foot traffic of all. So then our goal should be to be creating the most foot traffic of all. And we do have, and this is the first one that we're talking about right now, is 480 East Ocean is the Little House. It's already built out as a restaurant. There's a big cooler there. I can't imagine somebody going in and going, I'm going to do a barbershop. Number one, we have a barbershop right next door, or a flower shop, or it just, number one, it doesn't lend itself to any of those things because it's already built out as a restaurant. And for somebody to come in and change it, it's got 2 handicap restrooms. No one needs 2 handicap restrooms except a restaurant.
Vivian, in all due respect, it doesn't have a kitchen.
It can have a kitchen.
Okay, so it's, he's calling it a restaurant, but it doesn't have a kitchen.
We have had Cisco in there, and it can, not Cisco, the other one, it can have a cooktop and a hood in it. It was going to have
a microwave
hood in there. No, it can have a hood in there. We already had plans to have a hood in there with the city. She just didn't, the prior person didn't want it. So it's just a matter of what do you want to see on Ocean Avenue? Do you want to see activity or do you want to see no activity? Right now, that's kind of what we have.
Mr. Chairman.
Taxes. I want to see revenue come in.
What we have here tonight is, and before us is not, we all want foot traffic, of course, but the thing before us tonight is, do we want to enter into a realtor's agreement or not?
And this guy's, that's what he
the
does.
point.
He
That's
does
what
that.
we got here tonight, yeah.
So if we don't want to.
We need to get back to the main thing.
Right.
yeah.
That's what that's what this is about.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make that
Mr. Chair,
motion.
before we make the motion,
Yes.
the attorney, he has his hand up. Let's
Well, I
hear from
think he
him.
was going to say what I just said, I think, but go
He
ahead.
might
Well-
not now.
Read his mind. That's pretty good.
Not exactly. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, one of the reasons that staff recommended going this route rather than the RFP is that by doing this and getting a realtor who is the
Expert.
renowned expert in this area in restaurants, he will go out and try to bring a restaurant here that meets your desires, your needs, and can be successful. If he cannot, then you will know that that is probably not something that can be done in either one of these two buildings. This gives you that much more flexibility. And that's one of the reasons, why the staff has recommended going this route rather than the RFP.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. McCray.
thank you. If we go this route and he doesn't bring the potential in, we're back to square one. So I'm just saying, Board Member Buchanan is getting ready to offer his motion, so.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we go ahead and go with this agreement.
I'm going to second it so we can move on.
Would you repeat the motion?
The motion is enter into an exclusive listing agreement with the firm of Practice and Company for the CRA-owned property at 480 East Ocean Avenue. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just want it noted that those bullet points that we talked about, that those are flexible.
There was a suggestion made that there could be, if the board entertains, a slight change in verbiage from sole type to type of business, so that you're not excluding someone that is not one of those.
Is that
or
something that needs to be verbiage changed before we vote on this?
You would
Or
want
we
to
gotta-
make that as
say
part
that.
of your motion?
If the board wants to make
Also-
that part of the motion, we can.
Okay. I'd like to-
This-
I'd like to
so the
say
man that
something.
makes the motion.
Well, I'd like to comment too.
Let me
Wait,
comment
let me-
on my
let me talk
motion as
for
it
one second.
stands.
Yes.
This motion, this agreement with these bullet points and that is somewhat rigorous. And I think that's what we need to go with right now. If it doesn't work out, if there isn't anybody that meets those tougher criteria, then we can come back, revisit it, and look again. But let's go out and try and get, if somebody meets those criteria, then there's a much better chance they're going to be successful than if we start bending them. And so I'd just like to go with, as it's written, just go with it, give this guy a chance to see what he can bring forward. He's been very successful in other areas, and I think that's what we need. We need it to be kind of tough right now because I don't know if we were tough enough before. So let's just go with it. If it doesn't work out, then we can go back to the drawing board. But by going with it this way also, it speeds up this part of it, may not speed up the whole thing in the long run if we can't find anybody to meet those things. But at least we're trying to get it done, we're trying to get it done in a responsible way and come up with a winner. And then if that doesn't work out, then we come back and massage it.
Does seconder agree?
Second.
Yeah,
Do I
Mr.
have a
Chair.
motion and a second discussion?
Okay.
Any more discussion?
Yeah.
I just want to say that,
Go on.
that I do agree with Board Member Buchanan, that we go with what we have here, because if we relax it too much, then anybody could, do it, so to speak. So I think we need to go with what we have, and as he stated, if we can't find somebody, because we want something that's going to be successful, okay? And if we can't accomplish through what we have here, then we come back. I agree with you.
Mark or
I
Malcolm?
just want to say, basically, again, I am not against having a broker, but I am against the fact that the gentleman who runs the business is not here to answer our questions, because over and over, I hear too many questions from the commission asking and not hearing the answer.
I think we got that.
Okay.
So I will be
we got
voting no.
that. Okay,
We got that.
Commissioner Casello.
I think that if we go with these 5 bullet points as they're stated here, the rigidness of this, I think it's going to constrict the number of applicants that we get. It'll waste the 6 months that we give this guy the lease to, the contract to, and it only hurt us in the long run. I think we should open it up, make it more flexible, get some great ideas for it. It doesn't have to be a bar and restaurant. Like I stated earlier, it doesn't have a kitchen in it yet. So I'm against it the way this stands now.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
So the motion passes 5-2, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Next be item B, consideration of entering into an exclusive agreement with the firm of Practice and Company for CRA-owned property at 211 East Ocean Avenue. Is there a motion?
So move.
Wait, let me
And a
suggest on this
second?
one.
Well, let me get a motion on the floor, and then I'll
I'm
have
gonna
more
second.
second discussion.
Can I suggest on this one, considering Mr. Casella's comments, maybe on this one being a little more flexible? This is 211 Oscar Magnuson House?
Yes.
That-
Yeah, I can go with that.
Okay, that we change the language in Exhibit A, under Exhibit A, sole type of business, to desired type of business. That means that we could take other types. So instead of sole, change desired. And then we'll leave desired days of operation, because if people come with different things, we can look at that. And then proof of, maybe take out, and maybe proof of current or prior ownership and/or operation of business being proposed, or maybe perhaps management in other business or something like that, language added to that. So we're not taking out somebody who does have a startup. This is a little bit different property. It is a, so to speak, a blank slate. It is not anything right now. It's just a building. So I could see on this property being more flexible, it being a little more of something than just, it's not built out as a thing. So I think of the flexibility here is really where it lends itself, Commissioner Casello, definitely on this one for sure. So I think if I could make that recommendation, it should.
Okay. You like that, Commissioner
I'd like to make that in the form of a motion. I'd like
Okay.
that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second as stated, with the changes stated. Any other discussion?
The motion that was already on the floor.
Just
No,
make
we-
that
that- that one
make it
passed
substitute-
five
make it-
times.
make it a substitute motion.
Oh, substitute motion, okay.
Substitute motion, yeah.
No, he made a motion for this.
It's a substitute
Yeah,
motion
we
with the
did a
changes as
Hold on,
stated.
Hold on.
In a second.
Point of clarification here. The motion that Casello made
Was to do what's
was
here
to do,
plus
what's
the
here plus
changes
what
she
she said.
suggested.
And that's what I second.
Yes.
Now, what are you guys talking about?
It
They were
needs to
just
be-
with the original.
We
thing
had the
there.
original.
Nothing with
We
those
had the
changes.
original, so that's a substitute motion.
That's
We just
substitute
go with
motion,
that,
we
right?
take that up first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The question I have regarding this, again, this is on the basis that Practice Company is doing this?
Yes, it's
Yes.
with that company.
what-
We're
Okay.
making with that company. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Oppose.
So the motion passes 6-1. Consideration of issuing a request for proposal for CRA-owned property at 480 East Ocean Avenue.
Staff is recommending that we withdraw this item in favor of doing what we just did, which is doing
Okay.
exclusive.
So move.
Have most second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item D is discussion of request proposal for the 211 East property, same thing.
Yep, so move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Can I ask the question, is this the Practice again?
No, it's,
Oh,
we're
okay.
moving.
Oh, I know, okay, I'm sorry.
moving proposal.
I'm wrong, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion unanimous.
Gee, you was wrong tonight.
Item F, Phase 1 Ocean Avenue District Banner Project and Phase 2 Marina District Banner Project.
I just want to bring you guys up to speed. You're going to be seeing a bunch of new banners down Boynton Beach Boulevard, Ocean Avenue, and the Marina. So look for those. We do replace the banners every few years. They're part of our marketing campaign to identify the downtown and the Marina District. So I'm presenting that to you as part of our marketing campaign. So be looking for that.
Okay, you need any action on that?
Nope, just bringing you up to
information?
date.
Okay. G, consideration of resolution number 1407, supporting the county's continued membership in Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. I would just like to say that I attend the League of Cities, and the League of Cities were unanimous, all the different cities there were unanimous in remaining with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, but it's, the counties continue, because the county's trying to swap, but we want the county to stay with it.
Right.
So I
We
just
want
want to
the
make
county
sure
to
we're
stay.
not, we
Yeah.
want them to continue with that. So
Right. We want
wanna
them to
put a-
stay.
What we're asking here is do a resolution in support of
Right.
that,
Yeah.
so if everybody
Would
understands
thi- Would
that.
this be like the one Lake Worth just passed?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one they
We're
passed
just
around. They
supporting, 'cause-
passed- The League of Cities put out one that everybody could use.
Right. And we use Treasure Coast quite frequently as an agency, and
Well-
because it's easy for us to use as an.
Our town square. We're
I
working
tell you, we
over the
just
town
used
square,
them.
yeah.
Right, we just used them.
We're going to use them again.
So moved.
We've been with
I
them
have
like
a motion.
30-something years.
So,
Yes.
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to do so. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No discussion.
Any discussion? Go ahead. Sorry.
I just,
Yeah, follow.
okay, the South Florida Regional Planning Council, I don't know much about them. I mean, I've only been exposed to the Treasure Coast. But what's the pros and cons, and why would the county want to go to the South? Is that more of a Miami type from that?
Yes, I think that the county sees, because we're getting larger, that we're more, we fit in with them more.
Right.
As opposed to Treasure Coast, which is more a small, lower growth.
Right.
Which I understand that, but we can't, it was going to be a lot harder for us to get the service, in my opinion, with the South County one than this one. So, and we've had great success and great service with them, and I just feel like it would be not a good idea.
It's the only one that I've been exposed to. and
Right.
I know we've got a few projects with them going on, so I'm in favor of that.
Well, there was a little less money, too, to belong to the one in the south, but
Is that what it was?
when money came up, you kind of, in this case, you get what you pay for.
Which is probably not great service.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
That's what they
So the motion unanimous. Director does not have any report? No
Mr. Mayor.
future, we did put a future agenda for next time.
Right,
Yes,
but
sir.
before we adjourn, this is just for point of order. I don't know who's responsible for these microphones, but,
Yeah.
but please.
I know we get this hum all the time here, but
Yeah.
They're getting
Okay.
worse.
I have one item.
Yeah,
I'd
go
like,
ahead.
I'd like, just like, if there's possible, a little update on 500 East Ocean. I mean, I see this as saying he's not going to be here. I just want to get it on record that, he's not, and he's not here and plans to come in December.
I put that out for you so you know what was going on, so you'd be aware that we did, between staff and legal, we got the agreement hammered out into them. And because they were going to be out of town on Wednesday, because our meeting was obviously switched because of Veterans Day, they couldn't be here, so that's why I gave that to you. So just so you understand, we're meeting the timeline, their schedules didn't permit them to be here, so.
But it doesn't look like there's any hiccups, right? yet.
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't heard anything back. I mean, they're looking at the agreement, and
Okay, thank you.
just for the board's, I should have thought of this maybe earlier, but for the board's information, I did meet today, myself, the city manager, Vivian, and some of the development staff met with, Vivian, what's her name
the
again?
Plaza.
Plaza, which is a
Construction.
company that's a builder and contractor, a very huge one in the United States. We met with them when we went to that, down in Lauderdale, when we went to that big meeting
The
down there.
P3.
And we told them about our town square project and all, and they were very interested. So they came up today and asked to meet with us, and they're going to probably invite us down to talk to their president. They're very much involved, we
Very
got some interest
interested.
there. He went around and looked at the entire area, so just wanted you to know we met with them. So there's something in the works there, maybe. So just want to keep you up to anything new, I'll let you know.
Chairman,
Yes, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just before we adjourn, just in case I don't see any of y'all before Thanksgiving, have a safe Thanksgiving and a happy one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I hope your
One other
turkey's
thing.
moist.
Woodrow, ahead.
Just a quick, can you give me a quick status on where,
Ocean Breeze East.
yeah, Ocean Breeze East and, but the others, the store?
Oh, they have a permit. They have a building permit.
Okay, so we expect them to start
Yes.
January?
Yeah, they got a permit. So
Okay.
Andrew told me they had a permit last week.
Got a permit last week?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Thank
and
you.
Ocean Breeze East for meeting again. It's either Friday or Monday.
okay, thank you. Stop it.